Hi guys, Scott here with the Lima Bean, where today, between rain showers, I'll be working on the steering. Now I had to dismount the motors to get this put in here, but that's the way it goes. And this is turning out pretty unconventional, but that's how I do pretty much everything. Normally you would have a hydraulic steering cylinder on one engine with a tie rod connecting the two engines, and that was going to be right in the way of the swim platform. So who wants that? Nobody. So I went underneath where the platform's going to go with some square tubing, and I thought about using round. It would have been easier, but round just seems to lose too much strength when you start drilling holes in it. And the squares is kind of a pain, but I like how it's turning out. And then the hydraulic cylinder is going to mount in the middle here, where it's going to be stationary, and the ram is going to move this tube back and forth, which is kind of backwards of how they're supposed to go. Now these brackets I made to hold this tube to slide in. So I took some bigger square tubing and welded it to a piece of angle. So then I had to drill and cut and file some more and file some more. A square hole, but that keeps these sliders, the UMWA, that's UHMW, ultra high molecular weight plastic. Pretty tough stuff. You can pretty much bash it with a sledgehammer and it won't crack like nylon. And it's super slick. You could drive an amble, drag an amble down the street on top of this stuff, and it's so slick, in fact, that you can't really glue it to anything. So that's why I made this hole just big enough to hold the UMWA inside, and then set screws on this side to hold it here. And that's working pretty well. Goes in just like that. Slides nice. And I came up with this for now to hook the motors up to this tube, because like I said, I want to be able to slide these back and forth to try some different spacing. And without drilling any holes, this was a pretty good arrangement. And I might keep this in some way with just maybe a one hole in the middle to hold it when I know exactly where they're going to go, because that clamps on there pretty good. Now, before I hang this other outboard, I wanted to go over some of this construction. I've been welding steel since I was pretty much a kid, but TIG welding aluminum is like learning to weld all over again with a lower IQ. It really made me feel stupid. So yeah, some of these welds are pretty ugly, but they have good penetration, and I always like to design everything to not depend on the weld for something critical. So this web here of the angle is actually what is holding all this. The welds could crack or vaporize completely, and this is not going to come apart. And these pieces of tubing that I used for the bushings actually pass through this web, so it would be fine with no welding at all. Yeah, so I did the same thing here. These tubes pass through the webs of this channel, and here on the bottom too. So you have virgin metal here actually holding everything together, and that makes me feel pretty good. And let's face it, out on the water you got enough to worry about without worrying about some amateur welds. But I do want to say, for anybody trying to learn welding, it's all about hood time. Keep at it, keep welding. That's how you get good. That's how these guys on the internet that are really good got good. Yeah, so this is what I came up with to clamp these on here without having to drill any holes yet, so I can try some different spacing. Back to back angle iron bolted together, and then this just goes behind the cross pieces. So it's braced back against those, and also on the upright. So that's not going to go anywhere, and I'll be able to slide those back and forth and try a few different positions. Well, it finally stopped raining. So, from Elke, myself, and the Bean, stay safe and good night.